To begin with, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research says it is adequately equipped to handle tests into any suspected case of the novel coronavirus. The head of the facility spoke to my colleague Mama V. Owusu-Aboagye earlier this morning, explaining they have just completed tests into a 10th suspected case of the virus.
We know in mainland China now, 900 people have died of the deadly the novel coronavirus. In Ghana last week, we had our own scare on Thursday when we heard that 2 persons on Wednesday late afternoon had reported themselves to the Kolebu Teaching Hospitals. I've come to the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and I have the director of the institute, Professor Kwabena Mantebosompim, for an interaction. Thank you for hosting us.
You are most welcome.
So just confirm to us these 9 cases. The only one that was publicized heavily,
yes,
obviously, was the one that happened at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital with the test results coming out on Thursday.
Yes.
Explain the 7 other cases to us.
So we have tested 9 cases, as you all know, and these 9 cases, they have all turned out to be negative. You know, Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research of the University of Ghana is actually also the National Influenza Center for Ghana. So we have actually been in the forefront of the global health protection as far as influenza is concerned in the country.
Okay.
Now,
go ahead, Paul.
Okay, so in the country. So we already test for influenza viruses. And then we also have the capacity to test for the coronaviruses, because human flu that causes the common cold are a whole range of viruses. We have the influenza viruses, and then we have the normal coronaviruses. And then occasionally we have some coronaviruses that are not in humans, in animals, that can jump into humans. So the novel coronavirus, for example, is one of them. And we do test for these. The way we test for them is that when we are screening, we screen first of all for influenza. And then we screen for corona. Corona, which means, scientifically we call it pan-corona. So, which means anything that is corona can be detected by the test. And if it comes out positive for the pan-corona, then we test for the novel coronavirus.
Okay.
So that's how we do the testing.
So I'm a bit curious, because this virus just happened. I mean, it's something that we haven't seen before.
Yes.
So how then did we, suddenly we are also in the position to test for a novel coronavirus? Where did we get that expertise from?
Yes, actually, this is a very good question. It happens to be so because the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research of the University of Ghana is a forefront flagship by Medical Research Institute. And over the years since we established in 1979, we have maintained one character, being always one step ahead of all the research laboratories. Mostly in West Africa, we are leading. And we maintain cutting-edge research with state-of-the-art equipment. So that gives us the edge to be able to meet the world as far as new, emerging diseases are concerned. That is one thing. The other thing is that science has become now such an art that when there is a new pathogen, we now have what we call genetic sequencing of the genome, or the genes. And so the genes can be sequenced, and when it is sequenced, you can write the sequence on paper, and this can be published. So the Chinese, for example, sequenced the gene of the new coronavirus and published it. Now, once it's published and comes to the general scientific domain, all scientists now can make effort to do something to help to control the situation. So working with some of our partners in the US, NIH, National Institute of Health, and things like that, we're able to acquire the unique gene sequences that can be used to detect the novel corona.
Okay. After the Thursday case, have you had new samples?
I'm aware after the 9 there has been another sample which we have tested, but the results will be released by the Ghana Health Service.
Okay, okay, but you know the results, except that you wanted to come through from the Ghana Health Service. From the way you were smiling, I guess that's another negative, negative result.
And of course, when new samples come, as director, I'll be briefed this morning, so I'll know what's happening.
Okay, test kits. And I don't know if you have enough now. What does that even mean?
Okay, when you say test kits to a scientist, most of the times it will ring a certain bell.
Now, away from that, lawyers for 7 alleged coup plotters are for the 3rd time making a push for bail. A member of the legal team, Victor Kojoga Adaudu, today informed the court the documents supporting the request have been filed at the court's registry. Joseph Akabli joins us with details. Joseph, what does that mean? These have been filed at the court's registry. Right, Joseph, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Daniel.
Right, what more can you report on this?
And so the lawyers say that, it's important that their clients are allowed on bail, especially when the case is not progressing as fast as it ought to be. And the first 2 occasions where they filed applications for bail, they have been in custody with between 2 to 3 months. And now they say that it's in excess of 4 months, for which reason they decided to come back to the court to once again ask the court for bail. The concern now is to the effect that the state is opposed and that there are documents that the state has filed that the defense lawyers who are pushing for this bail application want to respond to, for which reason the court opted that both sides to ensure that the arguments for the bail and against the bail be made available to the court. And so once they come back on Thursday, they could have the arguments and the court decides whether to grant them bail or not.
So by Thursday, we would know if these persons will be granted bail or not.
And that is so, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for joining us with that. We move to other stories, and the Ashanti Region Security Council is cautioning residents, especially women, to be cautious as incidents of murder increase. This year, 2 women have been killed by unknown assailants, with a recent one being a nurse found dead over the weekend. About 5 similar incidents, all involving women, were recorded last year. Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah, speaking to Love News, will not accept there's a trend, but says investigations are being made to end the incidents. He reveals police and military patrols have been increased as lightening of dark areas remains high on their agenda. Meanwhile, the husband of Ruth Eshun, suspected to have been murdered, has been speaking to JoyNews.
The official name is Ruth Eshun. She's a nurse. She's a principal community nurse. She works at Seria Health Center. And she's married with 3 children. The last born is just about 2 years, a girl. And I am her husband. She's a very good woman, very loving, very friendly, and very accommodating. Everybody in this community can testify to this. So I have lost a very good wife.
How did you receive the news?
I was looking for my wife when she didn't return home. So in the night, I didn't sleep. I roamed through Kumasi. I moved from emergency hospitals to police stations all around. So I was at Menchia Hospital. I received a call. First, I was told that they found the ID card and a checkbook just in a bush about 150 meters from our house. After that call, within 5 minutes, I received another call asking me to quickly come home. I was even trying to understand whether my wife has been killed, but they wouldn't tell me. Just after that call, a third one came with somebody crying on the phone. Obiakum Ruto, Obiakum Ruto, Obiakum Ruto. Then I realized that my wife has been murdered. So that's how I received it.
How do you feel about this?
I don't know whether I can describe how I feel. But I feel very sad. I don't think I can find a substitute of my wife. There's no way. Even when you are angry, you're fighting with her, she will tell you about chill.
Close it, please. Close it, close it.
Sorry.
And may her soul rest in perfect peace. Still live on JoyNews today. We'll be back after a few messages. Thanks for staying with us. Now, child rights activist Bright Apia has revealed that the 7 girls deboardinized by the Ejisuman Senior High School for flouting regulations did not show remorse except for one. His revelations come on the back of comments that the school authorities' handling of the issue was extreme. We will hear from Bright Apia shortly, but before then, listen to the girls who made sexually explicit comments in a video that has gone viral on social media.
Oh, welcome to Ejisuman girls. Hey, me ya show cry. Ebi wo fie. Me ya rubber cry. Ebi wo fie. Me ya show cry. Ebi wo fie. Me ya rubber cry.
There was a bit more of that after that video, but child rights activist Bright Apia in an interview on News Desk a while ago said the decision taken by school authorities will not help in reformation of the girls.
It is about investigating the matter, find the right diagnosis, the symptoms of this behavior, and then prescribe rehabilitation programs for them. For me, that is what it is.
Isn't that what the school did with the initial investigation?
They did not. They did not. And even if you see the kind of, they said they are organizing counseling services for the school, not necessarily about the children, but they are rather organizing counseling services for the rest of the students who are in school. And for me, if you engage the services of any clinical psychologist, would tell you that it is not appropriate way of dealing with this matter by engaging the service of a counselor for the school and not those who have committed the offense. I think that there is something wrong. Again, it comes back to the issue of the parents sitting down with the school to agree. It should send a signal even to the school authorities that there's a relationship issue between the students and their parents, that they even have to have interest in addressing that issue, because you have not done anything in relation to the state of the children. You've not done anything in relation to the state of the children. All you are interested in is the dignity of the school and how the school's name has been protected and all that. But these are students that we are making investments. The taxpayers' money is being used to train these children. So if they are exhibiting behavior that is contrary to the behavior that we expect any student to exhibit, it is our responsibility to ensure that they acquire the normal behavior that is expected of them. And that, for me, is what they fail to do. But in this case, I don't think that punishment is the best option.
Now, there's also a statement on this matter from Africa Education Watch. Let's bring you those excerpts. Now, it says, our attention has been drawn to a letter from the management of Ejisuman Senior High School indicating the expulsion of 7 of its female students from boarding school for social media misconduct. It goes on to say Ghanaians' children have the rights to education duly captured in the law. It goes on to state the law. It says that GES has a mandate to groom students to become literate, numerate, and responsible adults. And in fulfilling this, the secondary schools have the responsibility to teach, mentor, and discipline students when they break rules. It says it is heartwarming that the GES now has a positive discipline policy. However, the use of deboardinization as a tool for positive discipline has far outlived its relevance. It says since 1990s, it has ended up making students even more truant than reforming them. It goes on to say, it is time the GES takes a second look at deboardinization as a form of punishment for boarding students and adopt progressive sanctions that actually reform offending students. They end by calling for a public discourse by all stakeholders, especially parent-teacher associations and the media, on the matter. Expect more on this in later bulletins. Now, away from the story though, about 30 people are said to have died in Uttar Pradesh due to cold weather and snowfall in India. The city of Nagaland witnessed surprise snowfall last year, the first in over 40 years, and Bihar's capital Patna recorded its second coldest day in a decade. 2 days later, Delhi recorded its coldest December day, when the maximum temperature dipped to 9.4 degrees Celsius, 11.4 degrees Celsius below normal. On the last day of the year, some 3 areas also recorded extremely cold day temperatures, 15.2 degrees Celsius below normal. The current cold spell is likely to heighten cold waves in a country already experiencing frequent cold waves in recent years. JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin was in New Delhi and describes the situation there as worsening each passing day than the previous.
Early morning here in New Delhi, citizens are readying for work. Heavy fog with cold wave sweeps through the entire city. At about 3 p.m., I took a walk through the city and outside air temperature hasn't changed much. These Indians, a few among many, gather at various points of the streets to warm themselves up. They spend much time on this to keep their body warm each passing day. It is the only way to survive the cold weather.
और पेंटर, कारपेंटर और सारे मिस्त्री और अपना काम धंधा, मेहनत मजदूरी, पैसा कमाना, अपना साफ सफाई.
Painters, carpenters and laborers work hard here to earn money to feed their families. We care about cleanliness. We come together here and we are happy with each other. Men and women are happy. Long live India.
I would have to on the sun flame to be able to get a better weather condition here to be able to sleep.
In 2017, the country recorded 276 cold wave incidents, the highest since 1980. It was 200 the next year, as per Envistat's 2019 report released by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation.
See, just before the winter season started in India, the India Meteorological Department gave a forecast.
Richard Mahapatra is a senior researcher with Center for Science and Environment in India. He says guidelines are essential for laying down broad framework for state government to prepare action plans to mitigate the impact. They are, however, not forthcoming.
They are experiencing one of the deadliest winter. But cold waves have not got the attention like any other disasters. We have guidelines, we have programs for heat waves. We don't have the same for the cold waves, but it's going to be more now. In fact, if you look at the last decade, cold waves have killed more people than heat waves. In the last 40 years, in many years, cold waves have killed more than heat waves. But we don't have a national program. So the point is that we need to accept first that it is a disaster.
Surprisingly, 23 states have action plans for heat waves, none for cold waves. Mr. Mahapatra says none of these states consider cold waves as a natural disaster. He says India cannot continue to overlook the impact of cold waves.
So we don't have national programs on that because we don't accept the fact. Though we have some guidelines around crops and there are states which do give some reliefs when the crops get damaged, but there is no national program on it. So we need to do that, and particularly at a time when extreme events like cold waves, heat waves are going to be the new normal.
Scientists say despite average global temperature rising, cold waves with extreme weather events of the winter, there is cause for concern. A 2017 study report published in Nature says by the end of the 21st century, both rare cold and heat events are likely to increase over India.
Let's go back to that earlier story of the students of Ejisiman Senior High School who had been deboardinized for recording that video we were watching earlier. Ohiming Teria has been following this story and he joins us with updates on the expulsion. Ohiming, good afternoon. Tell us, what more have you been gathering about this story, particularly from the school authorities?
Yes, Daniel, the school authorities wouldn't want to comment on the issue once the matter has been referred to the regional education office. And at the regional education office, we have been finding out if the office would comment on the issue. But they says once the matter has come to their attention, they want to exhaust all disciplinary avenues before they will make public comment on the matter. Okay. And I have also been engaging with the traditional authorities here. Don't forget, Ejiso is one of the oldest traditional towns in Ashanti region. And because of the powerful Queen Mother, Nanaya Santua, anything concerning Ejiso is a matter of essence. And the traditional authority says they are concerned with developments in the school. And they believe the developments there does not only affect the school, but affects the Ejiso community as well. And when we say Ejiso, we are not only referring to one town. There are about 56 communities that come together to form Ejisoman, of which it was named after the senior high school here in Ejiso. But I have been speaking to some residents who have been expressing their disgust at the developments in the school, which they say that does not augur well for the businesses in this community and the entire area as well. They mentioned particularly in 2018 when the sex video went viral and students accused their teachers of misappropriately mishandling them and all that. The issue brought some brouhaha and it generated unnecessary attention, and they think that this is the time for school authorities to do something to wean the school from this bad negative reportage that has been affecting it.
Ohiming, thank you very much for that update. We'll come back to you when there's more. We move to other issues, and the Director of Education and Research of the Motor Transport and Traffic Department, Alexander Obing, is urging motorists not to apply the brakes or accelerate in case of a burst tire. He's also advising motorists to regularly check the tire pressure of their vehicles. His comments come on the back of the Dominase accident over the weekend that's claimed 3 lives. The vehicle reportedly veered off the road after a tire burst and landed in a ditch with some passengers trapped.
Take your leg off the accelerator pedal, and you should continuously have full grip of the steering wheel and have full visibility of traffic. And when I say have full grip of the steering wheel, it means that one of the hand is not disengaged, and proud to the where the vehicle, the tire got burst, you were not in excessive speeding situation. In all this, keep to your lane, don't slam the brakes, have full grip of the steering wheel, and then take your leg off the accelerator and try as much as possible. At the same time that you have full grip and controlling the vehicle, you begin to maneuver with your gear. Try as much as possible. That's where your concentration will be. Once you have full grip, and you try as much as possible to change from the higher gear to the bottom gear. Let's also understand that all these can be done simultaneously, but never try to slam the brake. Allow the engine to run to a halt. Allow the engine to run to a halt without trying to brake. Let the engine control it, and then have a full grip of the steering wheel.
So when that happens, you shouldn't apply the accelerator, you shouldn't apply the brake. Just take off your leg from anything.
And don't brake. Don't accelerate and don't brake.
Those who apply the handbrake immediately in an attempt to stop the vehicle?
The vehicle has got two brake mechanisms. We have the in certain zones they call it ABS, electronic one, and we have the manual one, which the law requires that all vehicles you have. You don't attempt to use the mechanical handbrake when you are on speed and your tire is also burst. You do that, you roll over and die quickly. So that is not necessary at all. I'm saying that when there is a tire burst, you try to have the full grip of the steering wheel, and then you then attempt also change the gear to a bottom gear and to give it the engine power to begin to slow down by itself, and then you have full visibility of traffic and keep to your lane. It is very good, and you try as much as possible to steer it to a safe ground. It's also very important, so that if you are to keep to the verge and the verge has also recoverable zone abutting it, then you maneuver there. But you don't try that you slam the brake. You slam the brake, you lose control, and the car will determine the direction for you, and that will not be safe.
We've had instances where you find drivers driving vehicles on the road with the tires completely worn out. Some of them also, the tires very smooth, making it very difficult for friction to actually take place when they, apply the brakes or anything. We want to find out from you, what is the proper care that drivers can give to their car tires? What should we look out for when we're going out to buy a car tire? What are the safety mechanisms or measures we can put in place for our car tires?
I think a tie should be a safe tie, and the safer tie per our safety requirement is a tie that is not manufactured for more than 4 years by the tire manufacturer, and to know that the tire is not old, the date of manufacture, the date on which the tire was manufactured is embossed on the tire. And I'll give an example on if you want to know how old the tire is. You only get the date of manufacturing, and the date of manufacturing is numbered in weeks and year. Every year has 52 weeks. So if a tire is manufactured in, let's say, today, and today, it's on the, I think, 9th? Yeah. 9th of, February. And it happens to be the 6th week of 2020. So a tire manufactured everywhere in the world by any tire manufacturing plant will emboss it 0620 on the tire, embossed on the tire, so that if I'm going out there to buy a tire today, I will look for a tire which is recently manufactured, not more than 4 years.
It's live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up in business, Barclays Ghana rebrands as Absa Bank, promising improved customer experience.
On behalf of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I now declare Absa Bank Ghana Limited duly launched. Thank you very much for your attention. God bless.
Dial has more after this. Stay with us.